So some useful information that you would need to send out in relation to the burial and the funeral would be things like location, maps, time, and I would like to include a person, somebody that they know that they can follow behind their car. Because what happened for us, some of our relatives that drove down to KK from Brunei, they lost their way when they were heading towards the burial ground on day 4. And so hopefully it does not happen to you. You can also include this information just in case people get lost or couldn't find their way or get disconnected from the group when heading towards the burial ground. So at night we had a prayer service. There we said prayers. We had a short program. My father enjoyed music and singing a lot, and so we thought of, in honor of his memory, to have some songs included in the program. Something to note, the immediate family members of the deceased may be tied with a lot of things that needs to be done, but it's also important to know that each one should also spend some time with the deceased, whether it is to say their prayers or just to be with them, to have their own personal time with the deceased as well. Sometimes we forget because of how busy and attending to all the different things, that this is also a mourning period for us, that it's also important to spend the time that you need with the deceased as well before they are buried. Day 4 was the day of the funeral, and so before leaving the parlor, we had some more prayers, and after prayers, everyone that was present was allowed to have another viewing of the deceased before the body was to be transported. So first, the immediate family members would walk around the coffin, and then the family members will line up in one side of the hall, and then the other people who are present will be asked to walk for the last viewing if they want to, and then after that they will be met with the immediate family members. But that is how it was like for us. I think this arrangement can be different for you and your family depending on how you all want it done. For us, after those who were present have viewed for the last time the deceased, then they will be met with the family members to say some words, and more for the family members to express their gratitude to be able to be present during this time. Also, during this time, there will be people putting flowers in the coffin if they want to. So after this is done, that is when the staff of the parlor will come and they will nail the coffin, and then the coffin will be transported into the transportation, the van, and then it will be brought to the burial ground. And only the immediate family members, I think only a few, will be able to join in the van where carrying the coffin, and so something for the family to arrange is transportation. A note on this, sometimes the burial site has not many parkings or the road are very narrow, and so one arrangement that I know of, that the family of the deceased, they actually chartered a bus So then whoever wants to also join the burial, they can go with the bus, and so they don't have to drive their cars and worry about finding parking and all that. So during the burial, there was a tent that was put up by the people arranging the burial, and there were many people that turned up. Many of the family, friends, and community members were all there with us, and it was a sunny day. So something to note is to bring umbrellas, so that not everybody were able to fit in the tent. So if you are able to have umbrellas, then you don't have to be under the hot sun. So when everyone was there and everyone was ready, then the coffin will be lowered, and before they fill the site, we said another round of prayers, and then after that, then they buried the coffin. And that is roughly how it was like for us during these 4 days, from the time of death until the burial. I don't remember this part very clearly, but I do know it is a common practice for the family of the deceased to have some meals arrangement, and they would invite everybody who was with them, and would invite everybody who was with them during the funeral to have a simple meal together, as also like a token of appreciation and gratitude for being together with the family during this time. But I don't remember whether we had that or not. I think we had. So some additional points that may be useful, and one is related to people. During this time, you will meet with all sorts of people, and people will say all sorts of things, and I think it was useful for me, at least, to know that people mean well, and sometimes the things they say may sound funny or contradictory to one another, but for us to know that they mean well, and they just want to also be a source of comfort to the family. Just to give you an example, some would say it's okay to cry, some would say don't cry. But I find that those who has personal experience with this, usually they are the ones that can relate best at this time. Also, there might be people who will send flower wreaths, and it is a good practice to take picture of those flower wreaths, and also to send a message of gratitude to all those who sent those flower wreaths. I find it useful during this period to bring a bag along. At that time, I brought a sling kind of bag, and I put in my water bottle, my wallet, my phone, some notebook, pen, biscuits, tissue. So it's a more of a convenience, so that whenever you are on the move, you can put things or take things as you need. One thing I noticed about myself during these 4 days especially, somehow I had this kind of tunnel view of looking into the things that needs to be done and arranged, that I kind of overlooked, or maybe not give the attention to the people that were present. And later on, when I look back at the pictures, some of the pictures that were taken during these 4 days, I later on realized that actually there were some friends that were present that I did not know of, or they did not pay attention to at that time. So now looking back, I kind of feel like would be nice if I was not that tunnel focused on getting the things done, important as they may be, but also to attend to some of the people that were present at that time, since they came from all over Sabah just to come and pay their respects and be with the family. So I wish that I did not had that tunnel view lah. Then I at least could be with some of the friends and relatives a bit more that time. I actually, when preparing for this video, I also asked my wife, what were you doing during that time? I didn't even remember where or what was my wife doing at that time. So yeah. Important to make sure to eat. Make sure that your family members are also had something to eat and drink, as you will need the nourishment. I checked in on my mom a few times to make sure that she's eating, especially on the day of the funeral, as I was sure that she will want to be walking to the burial site and to see until the coffin has been lowered and buried, but she will need the energy to be able to walk the distance and to climb the stairs. So yeah, to make sure that you eat and you have the energy to run all the chores and errands that you need to look into. The other thing is on babies. My sister had a toddler, a baby at that time, my nephew, and yeah, babies have a way of comforting those that are in grief or mourning in ways words sometimes cannot do. So yeah, don't, if you have small children or the grandchildren of the deceased are there and small, it's sometimes it's good to have them around. One thing also, maybe just to share, that my father also visited us in our dreams after his passing and after the funeral. So maybe to be open to it. Yeah. Also, maybe it is good to have in mind some words that you can say that would be a bit more appropriate during such a time. An example would be, instead of saying thank you for coming, you can say glad that you could be with us. But I don't know about this. In Mandarin, Chinese would refrain from saying thank you for coming, but would be more inclined to say you sing lah. Or it's kind of an expression of gratitude then for glad that you are able to be with us. So I don't know for your culture or your practices, maybe it's something that you want to consider. Not that there's any harm with saying thank you for being with the family during this time. One thing that I am very grateful for us is that all four of us were grown-ups when this happened, and so the four of us can take up the responsibility of ensuring the arrangements are made and to allow my mom the time and space that she needs to grieve and mourn the passing of my father. The other thing that I reflect about during this period is that whether we have to always be very sad. I mean, we are sad that we will no longer be able to have physical interaction with the deceased, but at the same time, we also know that they are at a better place, and that this separation is not permanent, and so maybe we don't have to always be so gloomy or sad throughout this time. but also to rejoice or to be also glad that in the time that they have spent with us, they also had good memories. I know during this time, one of the close friend of the family told me a funeral joke that I thought was that was funny. So the joke was that so this friend also had a passing of an immediate family member before, and she was saying after the funeral and all that, they had a group picture taken, and before the picture was taken, the photographer said smile. So you know, it is a time when people are grieving, and you're asking people to smile, like so yeah. So maybe lastly, I would like to end this video by thanking and expressing my gratitude, especially that if you were there with us during that time, and just so you know that your presence there with us was very much appreciated and made a difference to my family at that time, even though it may not seem that way or you may not have felt that way, but it did make a difference to us. And also to the relatives, I know some of you helped out with certain things that we may have overlooked and you did not tell us, but I know some of the relatives help out with things, because later on I was asking, wait, how come this thing is done, that thing is done? So again, our love and our gratitude from my family to all of you. Okay friends, I think that's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this video was useful to you and can better prepare you for when this happened to you, so that you are able to better handle the situation than how I did. Alright, bye.